All right, I'm going to start our recording.
Already did.
All right, and Kevin already took care of that, so high five to Kevin for that. And welcome everybody to this month's High Five Live. And looks like we have mostly graduates on the phone. Kev, do we have anybody that's not?
We have 4 phone callers, and I can't tell who they are, obviously. So
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll
all
continue.
people that we can see are all grads.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a little welcome and introduction, especially for people who are watching this on replay. And absolutely, I'm excited that you are here for our October High Five Live. And as I say every month, this is my favorite, and I always will because it will always be my favorite. My name is Barb Moses, and I founded High Five Live, and I am surrounded by an amazing team of people, and you will get to meet them throughout this presentation, including our Chief Dream Officer, new full-time to our company, and he's gonna show himself right there, Mr. Kevin Fink. And you guys will hear a lot more from Kevin in future, probably tonight as well with that. So what is High Five Leadership? It is a company that truly helps you find the joy in your life. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. What is the secret to joy? And it's about getting to the next level, stepping into your potential, and truly understanding who you were meant to be in this world and how you can change your life, because when you change your life, you change your world, you change the world. So excited to be here. And I'm going to invite every single one of you. I know those of you that are calling in are in listen-only mode, and I wish it was different. It's just part of the software. So, but anybody who is on with us, whether we can see you or not, I invite you to jump in and be part of this conversation, because that's what keeps these High Five Lives interesting. I'm going to do as little talking tonight as possible. We all know I can talk. That's not an issue. However, that's not my outcome for tonight. And so we're going to jump right in, like we always do, with a poll. So in a moment, Kevin's going to pull that first poll up for us. And the first question that you're going to see is, does joy happen to you or because of you?
You ready for it?
Yep, go ahead. There actually is 2 questions, so you can see them. The other question is, do you have any more room for joy in your life? And the answers are totally, let's get to it, or nope, I got all the joy that I will ever need. All right, we'll give you just another minute or 2, or second or 2, minute or 2, that's funny. Cool.
So Barb, can you see the results?
I can actually.
Excellent.
So why don't we end the polling and show the results, Kev?
All right.
Cool. So you guys can see, does joy happen to you or because of you or both? And 86% said because of me, my choices bring me joy, and one of you said both, so we'll talk about what that answer is. And then also, looks like everybody's got some more room for joy, because honestly, if somebody said no, I'd probably say you might as well go right now, because I probably got nothing for you. But I certainly have lots more room for joy, so we'll go ahead and stop sharing that.
Oops. All right.
You just X out of it there. I got you.
Okay.
That's cool. We can both do that. All right. So the secret to joy. Anybody interested? Yay. Let's talk about it. So some of you have done this exercise before. If you read today's blog that was in the email or went out on Facebook, you may have done it there. And I'm asking you to just take a moment. And what I want you to do for each of these different groups of emotions, what I want you to do is identify what percentage of your time do you spend in each group. So ideally we'd add up to 100, but if it's close, that's fine. This isn't about math. But I want you to really, and you're not going to share this unless you choose to, I want you to really get honest with yourself about how much of your time are you really spending in which emotions. Because when we understand where we're at, if it's not where we want it to be, then we can take some action. But if we don't ever look at it and we just let life happen to us, then that's what we're going to get. So this is our starting point as it relates to that. So I'll give everybody a second to do that. And what I'm going to do is open up the floor. And I really want, so if anybody wants to share, and I will share first, because I'm a believer and I go first, on what my answers were and what the awareness was for me. And I did this process for the first time a couple of months ago in a seminar that I attended. And it was really super interesting because what it said to me, and what really is the basis for tonight's presentation, is the work that I've been doing on myself has worked. Because those top three boxes, so joy, the one with joy, the one with enthusiasm, and the one with trust, I am at a solid, if I add those up together, I am at a solid 85% or more. And the ones on the bottom, I still, every once in a while, right, disappointment shows up, some worry, anger once in a while, and way down at the bottom, that fear, every once in a while, that still shows up for me. But I celebrate with some huge enthusiasm the fact that I have been able to move to a place where I am in a really positive headspace and creating a positive story 85% of the time. And I'm not sure where you are, but for me, that means I also still have room to grow. A couple of years ago, that would have not been my truth. So it's all about how do we move and increase those numbers if that's what we want. And y'all said you had more room for joy. So in doing this little process, whether you've done it before or you just did it again now, who would like to share what you got out of it or what you became aware of for yourself?
I'd like to share. Barb's Chad.
Hey, Chad.
So when I did the process, I was, what's the right word? So I was appreciative of the journey that I've been on, because if I had done this 6 years ago, those wouldn't be what the numbers would look like. And I was even more appreciative of the growth that I've had just over the last year, because last year the numbers wouldn't have looked like they do now. And then in addition to that, I still find that I'm spending a decent amount of time in like boredom. And while I have 70% in the top three categories, I'm spending a whole lot of that time in the trust, hopefulness, contentment category, which cool, that's up there, and yet there's a lot of room to grow, and which is exciting.
Yeah, I love it. So you, like me, you've seen the benefits of working on this.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then like I said, especially just over the last, year, and then just the last couple months, like it just continuously changes, and I continue to see. I've really felt tapped into the benefits of continuously working on this stuff.
Yeah, and I think this is a great exercise for us to do on a regular basis, right? To check in and see how we're doing. Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Who else?
I will. I'll go. So Chad mentioned that this is Michelle.
Hey.
I heard Chad mention that, this wouldn't have been the same even a year ago. And my first reaction was, shit, this wouldn't have been the same even 3 months ago for me. I'm still, so while I believe I spend the majority of time in the upper 3 quadrants, I do still spend more time than is ideal in that insecurity, guilt, unworthiness thing. And the struggle that I have is reconciling how I can go from such joy and whatnot all the way down to that so quickly. It's just amazing to me. And my favorite person here has been telling me for years to get out of it, just to choose it. And it used to bug the shnikey out of me whenever he said that. My question would always be, what about, and he's like, choose it. Oh God, it used to irritate me. I was in that other quadrant there. Anyway, but it really is true. So it's simple. It's just not necessarily easy.
Yeah. It takes a lot of practice, and we have to learn how to choose it. So to your point, beautiful. Who else? Any recognition or awareness of where you're at, and if there's still room to grow?
So Kay chatted me and said her mic isn't working, but she says that she spends about 65% in joy and 15% in enthusiasm, and then 10% in trust. So she's way up there at the top 90% of the time, which is awesome. And she just says, I work on it, make it a choice each day.
Yeah, it's my girl. Love you, Kay. Awesome. Anybody else?
I just really love what Michelle shared, because I'm sure we can all relate to something triggering anger, fear, one of those emotions towards the bottom, and just how quickly we enter that emotion from wherever we were. The beautiful thing is where she said is it's just as easy to go. It's just as quick to go the other way.
Yeah.
Just choosing it. Not always easy, but it literally is that simple. Just like you made the choice to go right to anger or fear or whatever, you make the choice to go right to joy and enthusiasm.
And what we're going to, beautiful chat, and what we're going to talk about tonight is what makes it easier. So that, and it all comes back to working on our stories. So before I do that though, let's take this poll. So Kev, you want to pull up poll number 2?
Yep.
And somebody.
Barb, will you wipe the screen?
Yeah, I will in a moment. So poll number 2, what determines our emotions? Other people's stories or our own stories? And then, do we have any control over our emotions? Always, sometimes, never. I'll give y'all a second to do that. And thanks to everybody else who has joined. We got a whole bunch of people. Love that you all are here. All right, cool. So we'll go with Kevin. Let's go ahead and show what we got. And so you guys, in a moment, will see the results, or you're seeing them. And so 8 out of 8 of you that did this said that what determines your emotions are your own stories. And I would tell you that most people don't think that. They think that other people are creating those emotions for us and the stories they create. Do we have any control over our emotions? Always and sometimes. And so we'll talk about that. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. I wrote about it in the blog that went out today. And it's fascinating to me that what research says, and this is a woman who had a stroke, she's a brain scientist, is that we can only hold an emotion, the original emotion that happens for us, we only hold it a maximum of 90 seconds. Anything that we experience as it relates to that emotion after that is the result of us replaying that story in our minds, rethinking that thought again and again and again. Now, I'm going to be the first to say there are some really tough things that happen in our life. And it's understanding, though, and for me, it gives me a lot of power, personal power, when I accept responsibility for how I'm feeling. Because if I know that one emotion, if I just allow it to go through my body, and I'm a big believer in allowing us to feel our emotions, but if I'm only going to feel it for 90 seconds, let me feel it. Let me be angry for 90 seconds. Let me be whatever it is. And then understand that if I'm going to continue to feel that emotion, it's as a result of me repeating that story. And y'all know that, right? So the time that always sticks out for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, is I wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and I can't get that thought out of my head. Does anybody else ever have that? And you just keep repeating that same cycle. Yeah, Michelle, thank you. Again and again and again. But the only person that's doing that to me is me. Nobody else is creating that. And it's hard to accept that level of responsibility. And when we do, it frees us up because it's all just our story, our retelling of the story again and again and again. And then guess what we do? We tell somebody else. And then we want them to join in our little party. And we just keep telling it again and again and again. And we wonder why we keep carrying all this baggage and this crap around. And it's because we're choosing to. So how do we stop doing that? If we don't want to do that, how do we stop doing that? So that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. So Kev, let's get rid of that. And you just have to X out of it. I got you. And let's talk about what is the secret to joy. So y'all ready? Little drum roll, please. Progress. Practice. The secret to joy is practicing it. Yay.
Practice? We're talking about practice?
It is. So what are some examples? I really want you to connect because it's like so simple that we miss it. So what are some examples of things that we have to practice to get better at? Give me some examples.
Musical instruments.
Love it.
Athletics.
What was that?
Athletics.
Athletics, yep.
Putting this duvet cover on this comforter.
For Michelle, apparently it's folding clothes.
Actually, it's putting the duvet cover on this comforter.
Kay says baking.
Baking, yep.
Memory.
Artwork.
What was that?
Artwork.
Art, yep. Artwork.
Foreign language.
being on or in a body of water, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, anything skills, driving, swimming, flying.
Being a parent.
Those little dudes back there.
Yeah. Almost everything in our life, the only way we get better at it is to do it again and again and again and practice it.
Evelyn says meditation. That's a good one.
That's a great one. I think it would be much harder to come up with something that we didn't have to practice to get better at it. Breathing? Okay.
Blinking.
You can get better, whatever. You can get better at breathing when you learn how to practice and control your breathing, which is part of meditation. Huh? There.
There you go. But things that are not, so all kidding aside, I think that natural body functions, breathing, blinking, whatever, those are genetic, right? So everything else that you're talking about, though, if it's not genetically or there for survival, then yeah, you have to practice it.
Yeah, and yet there are so many things in our life that we believe should just happen. And one of the ones that's always interesting to me is because we're called High5 Leadership, and we deal a lot with people who are leaders, which every one of us is a leader, is we think that we don't have to work on being a leader. A lot of people think you just get promoted to being a leader, and there's nothing that you should spend more time working on than yourself, which is then going to translate into being a good leader. So practice. And what I realized, and Kay said it as well, the reason that her numbers are at the top of that chart is she practices it every single day. And one of the challenges that we have is we come to a class like High5 Leadership and we have an amazing experience. And during that class, we're practicing. And then we go back out and we go back to the way that we were doing it before class, and we wonder what happened. Well, we were practicing those old behaviors that we had prior to class a lot longer than the 3 days or 2 days or however many days we were in class when we walk out. So the key to all of this, the true secret to joy, is to practice. And the outcome is never perfection. Outcome is progress, because there's always going to be a next level of joy. And that's the cool part about this, is when I get to a place of joy, I'm just looking for what's next and what's next and what's next, because we're just getting started. There's always going to be a next level. If I say I'm there, then I'm just going backwards. So it's a continual amount of practice every single day. And so I love this quote by Brene Brown, and I'm listening to her brand new book, Brave the Wilderness or something like that. And it's awesome, but I love this quote. When we deny the story, it defines us. However, when we own the story, we can write a brave new ending. And I talk about stories at High5. We all talk about stories all of the time. And the reason is because that's the secret. It is about recognizing and practice writing new stories every single day. So I broke it down into 3 steps. And this is as simple as it gets. The first step is to become aware of the stories that we're telling ourselves. Now, we hear each other's stories really, really well. I can tell you when Kevin is telling himself a story, and I can call him on his story, and and I don't always hear mine, or at least I don't always want to hear mine. However, until I become aware that in every moment I'm telling myself a story, there's nothing that I can do with it. I'm going to continue to be a victim of my circumstances and blame everybody and everything else for me not getting what I want. As soon as I start to recognize that it's all a story and that everybody on this planet is telling themselves a story in that same moment. And if they're even in my moment, they're telling themselves a different story than what I'm telling myself. And the whole question is, so the next step is outcome. So I'm going to compare that story to my outcome. What are my outcomes? What am I after? What do I want in my life? And based on that outcome, I'm going to know whether that story is benefiting me or not. And that goes to the last one is you make a choice. And you choose whether you're going to keep telling yourself that story or not. And hopefully what you're choosing is whether that story benefits you or not. If the story's benefiting you, then it's okay. Keep telling it. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of programming that we have that benefits us. There's a lot that doesn't benefit us. But the key is practice. Practice, practice, practice from the time you get up in the morning till the time you go to bed. It's not going to happen by itself. Just like you are not going to become Beethoven quality piano player if you don't practice the piano. And we just think it should happen and we can blame others. It's about practice. So really, it covered this really quick this morning on Facebook because I really got to think about how important this is. Because if we practice positive when things are going well in our life, or things are at least relatively smooth, when something big happens. So in this case, what I talked about this morning was houses burning down in the fire in Northern California. Somebody gets sick, gets cancer, somebody dies in your life. When those things happen, if we've done the work on the front end, they will not take us down. Instead, they will actually be there to support us to get through some of those really, really tough situations in a much healthier way for both yourself and the people around you. So it's a way to build resilience. And resilience is one of the key things in truly having a joyful life, because you're going to bounce back a lot quicker when things go wrong. So the practice has to be done every day, not just, it's like people that get sick or go to the doctor and find out that their test results are bad. And that's the only thing that gets them right to start eating healthy or doing something different. And if we do that, it may be too late. This is about taking action now so that we can create exactly the life that we want. And chances are, if we do that, a lot of that stuff we won't even have to deal with. So I'm going to turn it over to you because I've done way more talking than I want to. And I want to know, how do you practice? So I know we've got some grads on here, and either in chat, which these guys will monitor, or I'd love for you to come on and talk to us about some things that you do in your life to practice choosing positive, to writing your new story, the things that are helping you move up that emotional scale. So who will jump in?
This is Rhonda. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Rhonda.
Hey. So one of the things that has been the hardest for me is taking a darn compliment, right? So my old story was if I just said thank you or accepted it, that I was full of myself. So that was one of my very first steps in practicing positivity and being nice to myself, was just say thank you and be done with it, and not, if somebody says, oh, that's a nice shirt, oh my God, it's so old, or oh, I got it for $3, like poo-poo what they said. I make it sound like don't compliment this because it's not worth it. So just say thank you and accept the compliment for just a minute, even if your story moves you somewhere else afterwards, but just to say, okay, I'm gonna accept that someone said something nice to me.
A great example. I love that. Thank you, Rhonda. And thanks for breaking the ice.
This is Chad.
Hey, Chad.
So one of the biggest ways that I practiced this was that little chart that you had with the 3 steps. So especially in the beginning, the first part for me was all about awareness. It was just practicing having the awareness. It's like, oh, okay, I'm really angry right now. I'm really afraid, and creating that awareness around that. And then actually the thing I actually practiced next was the third one, the choice, which was, okay, so I'm angry. I'm accepting personal responsibility that I'm angry right now, and I'm going to choose to be angry anyway, which is what it was in the beginning. But it was at least being where it's like, okay, I'm choosing this now. I'm aware of it, and I'm still choosing it. I'm still choosing it. However, then that got, as I started putting the outcomes into it and practicing adding that, now it's like, okay, well, that's not benefiting me, so it's time to change, make a different choice. But it really was the very biggest thing for me to practice, especially to begin with, was, oh, I'm angry. Letting myself be aware of, wow, what happened? What happened there?
Yeah. Awareness is key. I'm laughing a little bit just because it reminded me when I first started to understand that I was in control of my emotions. I would tell people, because I thought I was pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell people, you know what? I can choose to have a good day or a bad day, and today I'm choosing to have a bad day. And I'm always like, how messed up is that?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? But I thought I was pretty damn, like, I got this going on. I can choose. Yeah. It'll be okay to choose something that actually benefited me, but
it would. And it's a journey too.
It totally is a journey.
And it is. So it's the practice, and every step forward is a step forward.
It is. And we fall down, and we just, the whole key is to get back up and be kind to ourselves.
And be kind to yourself. Yes. You know, so for me, that was one that I had to practice, was the being kind to myself, right? Beating myself up that one time that I made a mistake. And, but, you know, honestly, catching myself with the negative self-talk and just saying, stop it. You know, that's bullshit. Just it's a mistake. It's whatever. Just get up and move forward. So that was something that I did and still catch myself doing on occasion. We have a couple of chats. Kay says each day she looks in the mirror and says, "Today I choose joy," and then she takes 10 minutes to write her story for the day. And Dominic said something very similar. He said he writes a new story. He literally writes the story, and then he reads it back to himself in third person.
Nice.
So I like the idea that Kay has of doing that mirror work. Some of the people on the call tonight got an experience doing some mirror work last week, and it's powerful to look yourself in the eye and make those statements, make those commitments, and then move forward with it. So that's good stuff.
That is really good stuff.
Are you wondering when Halloween is? Yeah. Last Monday of the month. Right after Alicia's birthday. So what
Hey, Lenny.
This is awesome. Hold on a second here.
Yeah, when is Halloween anyway, Lenny?
Yeah, carry on.
Is Halloween the same day in Canada as it is in the EU?
31st, yes. That's on my check. It's kind of like a New Year's thing.
So share with us what you do to practice, Lenny.
Sorry. One sec, just fighting with my auto here. My iPad died, so I just dialed in on my phone. What was the question, Barb?
What do you do to practice choosing your story and practice positive?
I liked the survey you took at the beginning on how much time we spend in fear or doubt or grief, and that more and more I recognize that those feelings are ever constant. They pop up out of nowhere. Taking some time before fighting it, which was a tough one for me this past few months.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting it, just listening to it for a moment and spending just a couple minutes there and just paying attention to how I might, need to not fight it, not solve it, but give it time. I know that was a big conversation you and I had. So giving it some time, and then yes, absolutely having to push forward hard. That shows up in everything I do. That shows up in everything I do with my children, in my marriage. So yeah, time, giving it just a little bit of time, not running from it, not ignoring it, not forcing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because again, if we don't allow ourselves to feel our feelings, they show back up when we don't want them to show back up, and they show back up with a vengeance. And if we allow ourselves to go through the process and process those emotions, and especially when we're dealing with sadness and grief over something. I did read an article in preparation for this that those are the emotions that last the longest. And that would make sense to all of us, right? When we've been through that. And then determining when is the right time to start to look for the gift and the positive and what happened, and be able to transition then to something that is positive. But if we don't feel those emotions, some of us have experienced, including yours truly, they can come back, and they usually come back in a not so pretty way. And so experiencing them the first time is going to be better. So thank you for sharing, Lenny. I appreciate that.
Sharna,
I'll add one more thing there, Barb. Sorry. Is that's the thing I'm learning right now, is it always will come back. I don't think it's a question for me as to when. Those feelings will always come back. Let's say with loss, which was a big one for us this year. Every single moment we go out into, even if we laid in our own bed, that thought comes back, and it's, as you say, spending the time and trusting yourself that it's okay to work through that. So sorry, thanks.
Nope, that's good. And then understanding what's next. So love it. Sharna?
Yeah, she she posted. She says she journals every day. She can't unmute, so she's texting. She journals every day, which holds her accountable for what choices she's making, to the experiences that she's having, and then she uses vision boards to view daily and to keep her on track. So that's what she does for practice.
Awesome. Cool. Who else? So, and the question, so I'm going to keep asking who else here for another minute or two, because the question I have for all of you is, are you benefiting from what other people are sharing? And if you are, then we want to know what you're doing too. Anybody?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, so the thing that I've been benefiting from the most is the daily I am statements, and just realizing that in every single moment that I can choose that I am for that day. And it actually works. It's surprising. And even when it doesn't work, it's like, okay, well, then I can just change it that next moment, or I can change it the next day. And, you know, one day I can be powerful, and the next day I can be healthy, and the next day I can be anything I want. So I've really been connecting with that daily change, and the daily, and even, you know, hour by hour. And also I've been asking people around me for help, even people who haven't been to High5, like people at my office. Well, we did the one day with them, right? So at least they got to meet you guys and your energy and all that. So I'll say, hey, I am today is positive, so call me out on it. And they do. So it's pretty powerful.
Which leads us to accountability, right? I love that. Thank you, Christine.
So Sarah, so first of all, welcome Sarah to the call.
Thank you, Sarah, for coming.
I'm still recovering somewhat from our bottles of wine last night, but thank you. She says that she has mantras that she recites. She puts them in her phone, puts them on note cards, tapes them to the mirror. Little reminders of her goal and permission for when things go wrong. So, yeah. So good.
Love
Using
that.
the mirror work. Not only we talked earlier about looking in the mirror and looking at yourself in the mirror, but the mirror is a great place to post those things. We've got some, a couple little positive statements on the girls' bathroom upstairs, and it's just a great place. The first thing you do in the morning, brush your teeth, look in the mirror, and a great way to start the day with those positive thoughts, mantras, your I am statement, whatever. Those are great ways to practice.
And I also love this little thing that we're so attached to. Let's use it for our benefit. Set reminders with IMs, set reminders to do positive things. And so utilizing that phone in a very positive way makes a whole lot of sense as well. So I love it.
Hey, Barb, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. I had a call in my phone because I wasn't sure if you can hear me here. But one of the things, when you're talking about joy, there's when I feel like I'm not happy or content, I catch myself. It's like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Right in the moment. So I just stop and say, this doesn't help me feeling this way. Either if it's being depressed or, right now I'm with my mom and she's 94 years old. She's passed out on the couch. And there's certain things that she has dementia, so there's certain things she just repeats, right? So I find myself getting not agitated, but like, do I have to answer that for the really patient. So it doesn't feel good to me in the moment. It won't. So I really stop and just watch my tone. Like I calm myself down. I take breathers and I make sure my tone comes from a place being very loving versus, agitated. So in the moment, and I've been practicing that, and it's a practice. I've been practicing that like the last couple weeks. And today I was pretty proud of myself, giving myself a high five because immediately it was, I need to come from a place of loving, being loving. So I just wanted to share that because it's funny how you can really feel upset and anxious and want to just, your tone will carry that. And then if you just stop yourself and think that it's helping me, so hope it helps anybody else.
That is awesome. So thank you so much, Evelyn, because that really is, that's right. That's the secret, is loving ourselves, number one, enough to not stay in that emotion that doesn't benefit us. And it's a loving thing to do for others as well. So
come on.
That's what it's about right there. All right, anybody else got anything? All right, so I've got a couple, I think you've mentioned almost everything. So setting outcomes. So it's really important that if you don't have any outcomes set, the things that you're working on, the things that you want in your life, guess what? Whatever you got's what you got. So don't complain about it. You really need to know what that is, because that will determine whether that story you're telling yourself is going to benefit you or not. And then, you guys talked about writing the story at the beginning of the day, what it's going to look like, vision boards. So all of those things, journaling, and keeping a journal and being consistent in it is a great way for a lot of people. Gratitude. I know one of the things that's in our new High5 journal is the gratitude section, but it's not just about what am I grateful for, it's why am I grateful for that. because if I start to really connect to what I'm grateful for, I immediately shift up the emotional guidance scale. And it's super cool how quickly that happens. And you can practice gratitude all day long. You don't just have to do it, once a day. Actually, on one of our Evolve calls yesterday, Barb was talking about the fact that what she does some of her gratitude in the morning, and then when she comes back at the end of the day, she does some more, or in the evening. So I love that, just to keep herself focused. Get quiet, meditate, visualize, those you talked about. One of the things that I heard on a podcast or someplace recently, and I thought I would show you my cute little, these are my little Barb pictures. Isn't she cute?
Little Barbie Mandy.
Little Barbie Mandy. But have a picture of yourself when you were a young child and think about, would you want that child, would you be telling that story to that child, or would you be telling them a different story that would benefit them? So it doesn't matter what stories we heard as a child. Right now, we're responsible for the stories that we're telling our younger self and setting ourselves up for success. And the same thing with be your own best friend. If the story that you're telling yourself, and you've heard, I know you guys have heard me say this before, most of you, if you wouldn't say what you're saying to yourself, to your best friend, then stop it. Be your own best friend, because you deserve the same love and respect and kindness that you would give anybody else. So starting with you. Take care of yourself, right? So we did a whole webinar on self-care, but that helps us stay positive and fill our own cups, because if we don't fill ourselves up, we don't have anything to give away, and it's important. Practice vulnerability. So at High5, right, we teach vulnerability is the new strong, and many of you have had the opportunity to experience what that means by truly allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and connect at a different level. And as a result, we can get rid of a lot of our stories because we're so worried about people finding stuff out about us. But when we just put it out there and we realize, oh my gosh, they actually like me better because I'm real and I'm human just like they are. And we all got shit that we're going through. We all got challenges. So practice vulnerability. But also, as you continue to become aware of your story, share that with others, because it's going to help them as well. And so, but by teaching somebody else about it, or just sharing it from a very positive place about what you're practicing and what you're doing, not only are you helping them, but you're going to help yourself. You're cementing it for yourself. And then practice raising your vibe. So back to that first slide with all the different 8 groups of emotions. And again, it's not about 100% joy. It's about moving up, right? So it's about moving, and every time we move up 1% in one category, that's awesome. And we celebrate that. And it's just a work in progress, and it's about progress. It's not about perfection, but you got to do it every single day. And I know that's not sexy. I get it. Everybody wants the magic pill, and all of a sudden it's like, yay, rainbows and unicorns. And yeah, it's available. Choose the rainbows and unicorns for yourself by writing the story that gives you that feeling and doing the things that give you that feeling. And I kind of wish it was easier, but I also know the benefit of looking for the gift in every single situation and doing the work. And it gets easier and easier. And that's certainly been my truth. So, and sorry, I added this one too. Physically step into the new belief that will drive the outcome. And what I mean by that is I can just, before I go into Starbucks in the morning to get my chai tea, if I'm not feeling overly friendly, I can literally just shift my body, change the story, walk in with a smile on my face, and not only am I going to feel better, but they are as well. So just make the conscious choice. Boom, I'm going to show up in this moment exactly how I want people to see me in the world, and choose it. It really is available to you. Oh, see, how are you talking to that little boy? I'm so glad you showed me that.
Yeah, I yell at him and tell him he's a little shit.
He is very cute. Yeah, good.
Yeah, he
Trust
was.
me.
Now he looks like this. I don't
That's
know what
gonna
happened.
come back up. That's gonna come back up.
Your hair went full circle.
Thank you. Michelle said my hair went full circle, if you didn't hear that.
Oh, awesome. All right, so those are some ways to practice, and I hope that you all got some new ones. Just take one. You don't have to do them all. Take one and do it tomorrow. And practice, keep practicing, keep doing the things, and just watch how quickly it adds up. But be aware of the story, and you gotta be willing to give up some of those old stories that you're holding so tight to. Oh, but I want to be mad at this person, or oh, I really want to, no, stop it, as Kevin so eloquently said, and write a new story that benefits you. Focus on what you really, really want and how you're going to show up in the world, and it matters. It really does. Any final thoughts? Would love to hear. Or any questions about a certain situation, or you're not sure how to do that, or anything. Ooh, yay me. Cool. So a couple of quick things. I do want to make sure everybody on here knows about our High5 Leader Intensive class, and it is the perfect place to really connect to, how do I find joy? How do I get more joy in my life? What are the things that I can do? It is a transformational wake up to joy, and it is definitely an experience. And we're pretty proud, and I believe that we should be, because 100% of all of our participants in this class have said that this is the most transformational leadership development program they've ever attended. So we got some big competition out there, so we think that's pretty dang awesome. And we're always going to start by giving you value and providing you with some free coaching, seeing what are some things, and really determining if this is even a good fit for you. And so that's available to you, and I'll talk about the dates here in a moment. And we just had a week and a half ago, if that, our very first advanced class, our Evolve class, and this beautiful, beautiful two gentlemen. Kevin is in that picture, as well as Anthony Rivera, one of our recent grads. And this was Anthony's testimonial about what he got on it, out of it. And for him, what I thought was so perfect about tonight is he said, Evolve gave me the awareness, foundation, and structure to focus and work on those things after leaving. I know exactly what I need to do next, and I'm super excited to get to work. I'm just getting started. So he's excited about doing the work and knows that it is absolutely all about making progress. And so here's our classes that are upcoming. We do have one in a little over 2 weeks. It's the last one of the year. We aren't going to do another one of our public classes. We've got a couple private public classes until February of 2018. So this is the last chance to get in on the 3-day intensive. And so if you have not been to one of our classes and you can swing those dates, let us know. If you have been to one of our classes and you know somebody who really could benefit from doing it sooner rather than later, when we've got the holidays coming up, getting ready for the new year, reach out, let us know. Because honestly, it's the best gift you could ever give anybody. It doesn't mean you have to pay for it, but actually referring them to us to be able to get the gift of the awareness and the insight, making the choice, personal responsibility, super helpful. So would love to have those conversations. High5 Leader Evolve, the next public one is going to be, oh, and also I wanted to point out, most of our classes are in San Diego, but we are excited to announce that we are going to do one of our 3-day High5 Leader Intensives in Chicago on May 4th through the 6th next year. We got some
Home of the world champion, Chicago Cubs.
Chicago representatives, but we think it's a great place to do it. And so we're excited about that as well. So we're going to start moving our classes around to assist the people that go. And then our Evolve, our advanced class, next one is April 21st and 22nd. It's just a weekend, and it's in San Diego. And then our next High5 Live. And I am so excited, as I always am, about it. But this one, you will want to be there. It's on November 7th. And the reason you're going to want to be there is we are heading into 2 of the most stressful months of the year because it's holiday months. It's everything that goes to do with the holiday. And especially, I don't have it on the title, it will deal with how do we deal with family dynamics during the holidays. Because sometimes it's family that pulls the fun out of the holidays. And so how do we do that? How do we combat that and really set ourselves up for success, changing our stories, writing the story about what we want? So got some really good tips for you on the whole how do we reduce holiday stress in that. And what I'd like to do is ask for some feedback on a scale of 1 to 10. How valuable was the session that we had tonight? And if it wasn't a 10, what are some things that we can do that would make it a 10? And then we'd also like to hear from you as to what was most valuable for you in our webinar tonight. And
I've unmuted everybody that I can. If you've muted yourself, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
And
so, well, this is Rhonda again. Well, I would listen to you read the phone book, Barb. I think you know that. But I think for me, the thing that made this the most valuable was hearing what other people do to raise their pride and practice their joy. So, but I think everything High5 does is a 10 out of 10. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
Well, you know what? Thank you for that. That was a great place to start, though, Rhonda. Thank you. And I will never, ever force you to listen to me read the phone book. I promise. Thank you for that, though.
Love to hear Barb talk. I could listen to you all day.
Oh, God.
Oh, they're making me blush.
Do not encourage her.
For Christmas, we're gonna have a little High5 Barbie doll, and it's just Barb's voice. You pull the string, and it says,
"Choose joy, choose joy."
Stop
I'll take it.
That is a really good idea.
I love it.
Chad, will you start to source those?
Yeah.
Barbie High5 choose joy dolls. Barbie.
Yeah, Christmas ornament that you can hang on your tree that makes noise.
No,
Orange one that says choose joy.
Who else? How did we do? What can we do better? We're always open to what we can do better. That's what we're all about.
Hey, Barb.
Yes.
You talked about the, what is it, 30 days or 90 days journal?
No, Papa.
On this call. Can you order one? Can someone buy one?
No, actually, it's a 60-day. You were close.
Thank you. Yeah, I jumped that.
It is a 60-day journal. Hold on. And for those of you that haven't seen our new journal, so those that were attended the High5 Evolve class a week ago got the very first one, and it allows us to write our outcomes and our story, and every single day as Christine was talking about, our I am statement, what's our outcome for that day, and also what are we grateful for. And yes, they are available for sale if anybody is interested in buying one of the High5 journals. You just need to reach out to me, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you because I want to get one for
Sharna
Annie.
says, okay.
Awesome.
So Sharna had to mute again because her granddaughter's playing the drums. So while we would have enjoyed that, she chose to mute that. So she said, hey, it was a 10 tonight, and hearing everyone's personal stories was the valuable part for her.
Always, I agree. And Christine, you want another journal, is what I heard?
Yeah, Annie needs one.
Hi.
And I was gonna say it's a 10 out of 10. The only thing I could have done better is be less distracted because she's doing backflips on the couch and the baby's walking around the house, so I'm having to follow him, but it's all good.
That is all good. We'll take you however we can get you. Beautiful.
Hi.
Hi. Can we see your backflip?
Oh,
It's a front
Nice.
flip.
oh,
Nice. That's awesome, Annie. Love it.
Woo!
And also, if you guys have any certain topics that you would love for us to talk about in one of our High5 lives, hi sweetie, let me know. And you can send us an email.
Hey, Mom. Can I?
And I'd be happy to have suggestions on what you would like to hear about as well. So, all right. Well, we are, you know what, I'm going to give myself a high five at 6:02. Boom. And Kevin and I were talking about my time management skills earlier today. So I improved. Yay.
Woo!
And actually got to ask all of that. So thank you all for joining us tonight. I look forward to next month. And just know that at High5, we are here to help you practice every single day, whatever you need from us. All you got to do is raise your hand, and we'll be happy to assist you in any way that we can.
Get out of that maze. Get out of that maze, Christine.
And
Oh.
yeah,
I'm still in the maze. I'm still there.
we are all on our journey out of the maze. So, all right, guys. Well, have an incredible day. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Choose joy. And we will see you next month, and most of you before that. So have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Choose joy. Choose joy.
Choose joy.